Been some special final rounds by winners this season on the PGA Tour. Jason Day at the Nelson Sepp Straka at the Deer. Jon Rahm with that 63 on Maui. But none better, maybe the round of the year, Viktor Hovland, 61 at Olympia Fields to win in the playoffs, George.
It was impressive stuff from Viktor Hovland, and on Tuesday, I was at Olympia Fields, part of the Comcast Business Tour Top 10, had a conversation. It was Viktor Hovland, Jon Rahm, Keegan Bradley, Wyndham Clark, and just talking about the season, looking ahead to the Ryder Cup, and it was fascinating in talking with Jon Rahm, who now has 11 PGA Tour wins, 2 majors. He won the 2020 BMW Championship at Olympia Fields, and I was chatting with him about how analysts and analytics had put all these expectations on him ascending to the heights where he's at now, with 4 wins a major, the likely PGA Tour Player of the Year. And he said, I felt that inside. I thought I was capable of getting to that point. When I spun it to Viktor Hovland, he's not necessarily a guy who wants to say, this is what I can do next. And I thought this soundbite, the beginning of the year, talking with the DP World Tour on how he goal sets, kind of gave you an opportunity to peek under the hood into the psyche of Viktor Hovland.
With your eyes on 2023, what are your main goals and objectives be for next year, do you think?
I don't really like to set a lot of specific goals that are results-oriented. I just kind of try to improve my game every single day, and I like to structure my everyday life, make minor tweaks here and there that in the long term are gonna make big differences. I think a lot of people overestimate how much they can do in one day, but they underestimate how much they can do over time if they implement certain good routines. So yeah, I'm a big fan of just trying to optimize here and there a little bit every day.
Love what he said. A lot of people overestimate what they can do in a day, underestimate what they can do over time. So if you compare Jon Rahm and Viktor Hovland, there are a ton of similarities. Jon Rahm is 3 years older than Viktor Hovland. He got his 5th win on the PGA Tour at the BMW Championship at the age of 25. That was his first multi-win season. He had won the Memorial and the BMW Championship. Viktor Hovland, 3 years younger, is at 25. His first multi-win season. Now coming this season, he won the Memorial and the BMW Championship. So Viktor's not one to say, I'm capable of winning multiple majors. My goal is to be world #1. I think we're now seeing him scratch the surface of greatness. He's ranked 5th in the world. He's been up to 3. He's had these close calls in majors. I think he's going to be ready to make that next jump that Jon Rahm did from 25 to 28, where he then rattled off 6 wins, 2 majors, and has become a guy that we view in the same light as a Rory McIlroy, as a Brooks Koepka. Viktor is close. He's getting there, and Sunday was the type of performance where we all know what he's capable of going forward.
It's been fun to watch the progression in the quality of wins in this player as well. His first win comes in Puerto Rico. Then he wins a couple of times in Mexico. Then he wins Jack's tournament. Now he wins in the playoffs. You mentioned contention in major championships. We're also seeing the remarkable ability to hit his irons close. This looked like a Scottie Scheffler, Matt Fitzpatrick, Rory McIlroy duel. And all of a sudden, Viktor Hovland is just flagging it time and time again. His length of birdie putt yesterday on that back 9 was something special. Let's take a look at some of the numbers here, folks. On the 10th hole, 3 feet, 11, 12 feet. The 12th hole, 4 feet, 8 inches. The 15th hole, he had an 8-footer. The 17th and 18th hole, those difficult par 4s where guys are just hanging on. He hits it to 8 feet, 9 inches and 6 feet, 7 inches. I texted Alan Brandt this morning, the Oklahoma State Cowboys coach, who told me that Viktor also has the course record at Karsten Creek, which is the school golf course. It's a 62 that he shot there. One of the most difficult golf courses in college golf. Incoming freshmen cry when they play that golf course because they've never played such a difficult course. And that was the story that Alan Bratton saw during Viktor's college career. Continued progression. Has always been strong with his iron play, Alan told me, but his green reading has gotten better and better, and with that, more confidence on the greens. And we saw that in spades yesterday. That was a remarkable performance.
Viktor has publicly talked about deficiencies in his game and areas that he's tried to improve on. And he said, even this week, He wasn't phenomenal in strokes gained around the greens, but he had a hot putter, and the rest of his game was able to make up for it. And I think he's been able to identify what needs to be addressed longer term in the evolution of Viktor Hovland. The ball striking tee to green is something that he will not only be able to hang his hat on for the early stage of his career, but that's a formula that should work for 5, 10, 20 years. That's why he's not afraid of Karsten Creek.
Yeah.
The guy hits it on a string. I mean, all you see is fairway. You don't see any trouble when you're Viktor Hovland, when you have that type of game off the tee, and then when you're holding an iron to be that dialed.
Yeah.
Golf's got to be fun.
It is, and I tell you what, we're going to be talking about the Ryder Cup a lot on this Monday. I couldn't help but think about how Viktor Hovland is going to become one of the linchpins of the European Ryder Cup team. And we talk about all the shifting sands in professional golf and who won't be there for Team Europe, for example, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, kind of a changing of the guards. But all of a sudden, Viktor Hovland is like the next man up. It's going to be Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm, and Viktor Hovland, you know, has a seat at that table along with Shane Lowry and some of the newer faces that we'll see for Team Europe.
There's a change in voices. And when I was talking with John on Tuesday, he said, even though I had a ranking that was top 5 in the world, I was a younger guy in 2018 and 2021. So I wasn't the one leading the team room for Team Europe. That's going to be totally different next month in Rome. It's going to be Rory and Jon Rahm as your two main horses leading that team. I would think Viktor Hovland would also be slotted in. Viktor, outwardly very carefree, easygoing guy, but you know he's a cutthroat competitor. And I think he will be a good balance with Rory and Jon as a third voice in Team Europe. But I think historically what's made Team Europe so effective as a, quote, underdog, yet over time they've had periods where they've dominated the Ryder Cup, is their cohesion 1 through 12. And I think having those three at the top, you have 6 of the top 15 in the world are now Team Europe. It's a pretty good mix where on paper it doesn't seem as mismatched as maybe a year ago Americans were touting that.